everyone, I'm Lizzie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a story time about the time I almost didn't get a visa while living abroad in Germany. For those that don't know, in order to travel, you will need a visa to go abroad. It depends on the country whether or not you need a visa before or after you go to that specific country. But for Germany, I just needed a travel visa in order to get in. To obtain my travel visa, I simply hopped on the plane, showed up in Germany, and spoke to a customs agent who asked me a few basic questions, such as why I was there, how long I planned to stay, and if I was going to visit any other countries. Once I was approved, they stamp your passport, and then you're able to stay in that country. For Germany, a travel visa is good for 90 days. So kind of similar to that whole 90-day fiance show, I had 90 days to get my act together and get a work visa. Otherwise, I would have to go back to the US. For me, I was fortunate enough that my school was helping me get my work visa. They sent paperwork over to the building where I would have my appointment, and then I had to provide some paperwork of my own. Some of the things that I needed to bring to this appointment were my passport, my contract for work, a letter recently dated from work stating that I did actually work there. I needed pay stubs from the first 3 months, as well as my apartment contract to prove that I actually lived and was working in Germany. I was all ready to go. And when I went to make my appointment, I realized that even though I was making it in August, the first available appointment that they had wasn't until December. So just to do some math for you, I landed in August, then there was September, then October, November, December. So that's 5 months that I was living in Germany before I could get a permanent work visa. I was a little nervous, to say the least, but thankfully, if you are in the process of getting your visa and if you have a date for your visa appointment, when you have kind of overstayed your welcome, you are able to still be in the country. So they won't kick you out for waiting for your visa appointment. Like I said, I was all ready to go, showed up to my appointment, had all my paperwork, gung-ho. The woman who works at the office obviously speaks German more than English. So at first, I think there was a little bit of a language barrier, because if I haven't said it before, I didn't speak German at this time. Still don't really speak German, but definitely had no knowledge of German when I first moved to Germany. So I'm sitting there, the woman is typing away, she's looking at all my paperwork, and she suddenly goes, "Did you go to school in the United States?" I said, "Yeah." "So you got a degree from the United States?" Thinking, "Yeah." "Do you have your transcript from your university?" And I'm sitting there thinking, no, that was not on the list of required paperwork to bring to this. And she goes, "Okay, and do you have this paperwork as well?" And I said, "No." She goes, "Well, your work was supposed to provide it, and they did not." And I'm sitting there thinking, great. So as this woman is handing me back my paperwork, she goes, "Okay, so you were not approved for your work visa. We can only give you this temporary visa. You need to present your school transcript from your university. We need this missing paperwork. With this visa, you are not allowed to work, and you are not allowed to travel outside of Germany." So as I'm sitting there thinking, okay, it's December. I'm meant to be going home in a few weeks for the winter holidays, and you are now telling me that I'm not allowed to go home, and in the meantime, I'm also not allowed to work. I'm legally not allowed to do the thing that I came here to do. So I go back to school in a complete and utter panic. I'm freaking out that I didn't have the correct paperwork. I'm freaking out that I'm not going to be able to leave. And I'm freaking out that I can't even work. So I speak to my boss, and she looks at the visa that they've given me. She looks at my paperwork and goes, I don't understand why they would need your transcript. We sent them the paperwork already, so they've clearly misplaced it. And nowhere on the visa does it say you are not allowed to leave. So thankfully, about a week later, I was able to get the paperwork that I needed. So she printed out an extra copy of that paperwork she thought I needed. I somehow managed to get my college transcript printed out cheaply, hoping that this will work. And then I gathered anything and everything else that I brought the first time just to make sure she had it again. I sent everything via mail and email into the building, but I didn't trust that it was going to get there. So I ended up doing a walk-in appointment really early before the building opened one day before school. And of course, I walk in, and it's the same woman from the week before. So I sit down, I tell her I have all my paperwork again, hand everything to her. She's looking at my transcript and she's going, "What's this?" And I say, "It's my college transcript." She goes, "I don't need this," and tosses it aside. I'm just sitting there completely shocked. Like, apparently she thought I was a student and thought I needed a student visa. When she reviewed my case the second time, she realized, no, I needed a work visa. And she goes, "Okay, so here's your new visa. You'll have to wait to get the official one in a couple weeks." And I say, "So with this visa, am I allowed to travel?" And she goes, "Yeah." The visa that she gave me the first time was fine for the purposes that I needed it for, but she freaked me out by saying I wasn't allowed to travel, when in fact I was. So it took another 2 months to get my official visa. A visa is good for 2 years, or at least a German visa was good for 2 years from the time you got it. However, my passport was expiring. So when I finally got my visa, they only made it good for the amount of time I had left on my passport, which was in August. So again, got my visa, I think in February, March, April, May, June, July, August. I had 7 months to then apply for a new visa and a new passport. That is a whole other fiasco story, but in the end, I did get my visa, and I got it for 2 years. The irony of all this is when my visa was finally running out in July of this past year, I ended up getting a letter from the appointment office, and they had pre-made me an appointment and gave me a temporary visa to get me through to the appointment without me doing anything. So after all the drama that surrounded my visa the first time and even the second time when my passport was expiring, I just thought it was very ironic that they actually made an appointment for me rather than me having to stress and do it myself. So that is it. That is my story of what happened when I tried to get a visa in Germany. Going to a foreign country can be really tricky to try and navigate what you should and shouldn't do. Hopefully when you travel, you don't have a horror story like me. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and I'll check you next time. Bye!